潜龙出渊，腾啸四海，有请龙腾战队。Rise from the deep, roar to the world. Please welcome Team LT. 一队一星，剑指巅峰，有请 HAN 战队。One team, one goal. Please welcome Team HAN. 巅峰问鼎冠军，有请 HYD 战队。Overstrike, please welcome Team HYD. 倾力一战，淬风出击，有请 AHR 战队。有请 HYD 战队。Please welcome Team HYD. 领略巅峰，问鼎冠军。Overstrike. 有请 AHR 战队。Please welcome Team AHR. 倾力一战，淬风出击 ，Deep grind, one stage. The tension is building, and the battle begins now.
The battle begins now. Excited to get into the action. Great intro. Yeah, I love the production of these walk-ins every single time these matchups happen, especially these are the first time we're seeing these teams on main stage. Again,
let's show that individual skill.
Well, a quick look at our sports center. The Hongshan Sports Center is where we are at right now in Wuhan, China, and the sun is beginning to set.
Yeah.
So it's getting dark outside. Still looking nice and crispy out there as we get to see the entire city where the rivers meet. Now, I will say I'm looking at some of our notes here, and like I had mentioned, not a lot of these folks did play in Vietnam last year. A lot of folks on this Japan team, they played at ACL. So the Asian Champions League, a lot of them competed over there under this team's banner of HYD. So I'll be curious to see if HYDs, because of that experience, can show us a little something of what they've learned, what they've been able to execute in the ACL. I've actually had a chance to cast over, but pretty much the only other like major global or like major regional land at the very least that some of these players have played on.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question. If you know a little bit about ACL, was that like a exclusive online competition? Was there like a feature?
No, there's a LAN element. Yeah, there's a LAN element to that, yeah.
Yeah, so that's super sick. They competed at the LAN then, I would imagine.
Yep.
And so that pretty much means that, yeah, they have some experience on LAN, which is important to note.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, that is a key difference maker. Not all of these players. There's a lot of folks. We had when we did like a form for these players to fill out, it was kind of like past competitive experience. There's a couple players on both. This will be the only time you ever hear me hype up Vivid, but doing a great job. As we take a look at our roster.
Starting on the attack. The first time we will see both of these teams up here on the stage for this event. The first time that we will see Aftershock up here on stage during this event. It's going to be a brand new map for probably both of these teams in a competitive setting. It's going to be a brand new viewing experience for me and Goj up here, and I'm sure for most of you at home. Let's take a look at how these teams approach one of our newest maps.
Well, the implementation right now is full send. Into the building we go, and under we go to point A. Again, Sector A, fairly easy cap in comparison to what you'll find on the B sector. It really depends on how quickly you can move through it for that main event to trigger and bring those buildings down. But an early setup here for the attackers to all move together as a unit. Not seeing necessarily a full flanking squad yet. We'll try to shout them out when we do, especially if we take a look at that map feed. But HID finding some decent value, actually, on the outskirts of this building. And they will start with an AAV, so the attacking side will have an advantage. AHR with the AAV, working their way through the streets, just slowly pushing and clearing towards the A sector.
And you can see for the attacking side of things, it is a little bit of a slow approach. They do have some corridors to go ahead and work through before they feel confident in actually approaching the sector itself. Some just 1v1s happening off in some of the alleyways and off in some of the buildings. And what's really, really cool about Aftershock is that, yeah, it does have access to all of these buildings, which kind of finds it difficult in terms of this AAV and picking off some of those members. So a lot of cover for you to kind of hide around and play defensively and kind of lock down towards that A sector. Now, we do know that this A sector is a little bit tricky because you can start to capture it from underneath. There is like this tunnel that leads and gives you access to this sector. So we'll have to see if our attacking side decides to go ahead and approach from underground. But as it currently stands, the AAV is staying up on the road, staying up on the surface, and approaching from up here.
Yeah, finding some decent value without giving away the farm, if you will. Make sure you don't overcommit to some of these pushes when you're the only vehicle on the map. But just kind of slow pushing the front line of your infantry so they can start working their way to point, shelling, giving covering fire for the infantry to make a move. Having a bit of a split push. We see one group going left, one group staying on the right with the vehicle in the streets. Slowly work our way this direction, kind of working together as a unit. The Lure rockets over the top could do a decent bit of damage. Also get some intel of how this push is falling through. A lot of revives coming in for Tormy Ace. Watch out for Tormy and Pang as the AAV goes down. That is a great pickup from HYD with a bunch of Allura rockets and then an AT-4 to finish the job. Open things up, give a little bit less cover for the defense to kind of rat inside of and hole up inside. You see Lul, TTV, their only assault vehicle in dire straits, but they do get the respawn beacon down. They do get the repairs in. Should be able to use that to bring the team wherever they want to go.
Yeah, and talking about collapsing, I mean, the tickets for the side of the attack have seemingly collapsed as well. Down to 130 already, and again, I'll go ahead and put an exclamation point on this. They have yet to even have a single member of their entire team step foot on the sector itself. So HYD is just doing such a good job at holding these guys back and creating this little bit of a line that they cannot seem to cross.
I just lost another 13 lives.
What?
Yeah, it's because a lot of revives are not coming through right now. You're seeing these big pushes that get thwarted, and also the medics are going down quickly, so all of those players just hit the respawn and say, okay, we'll try again. So far, a fantastic hold from HYD. They're making these vehicles think twice about getting really aggressive. A lot of Luru rockets will land. The AAV is very low yet again as a couple AT-4s also hit. Nice job from the engineers to keep this thing alive, but all this time of keeping this AAV alive means that nobody is actually addressing the point.
Yeah, super scary. I mean, Aftershock was kind of a toss-up, and there it is, HYD picking up the assault vehicle, so the play around the beacon not going to be possible anymore. But speaking, you know, in terms of the matchup, wasn't feeling too confident in my prediction, but early days here in the head-to-head on Aftershock has me feeling pretty good about a 2-0 out of HYD. So far, I mean, they just seem like...
Look at the line they've set up.
They are outclassing AHR.
The defensive line you just set up, I love that we got a chance to look at that map view. The defensive line they set up is just yet, and they're down 80 lives. We're already about to be into the 2-digit mark. We're about to be out of the triple digits. This is a big moment.
Yeah, the AAV is trying to make something happen, maybe towards the flank. Looks like they're trying to make something happen towards this side of the map, which is great because it doesn't look like there's a lot of defensive
This is the first look at maybe a chance for the attackers to actually take this point. More engineers on the battlefield, more Allure rockets, and another AAV down. Uh-oh. I'm not feeling good about my prediction right now.
Yeah, HYD, they look very, very good. And they haven't even had access to a vehicle yet, so not even at full power as it currently stands. This A sector has finally been touched, though, right? A couple of members from the side of AHR have found their way towards the point. The urgent redeployment from the side of HYD, they're starting to feel the pressure. And the tank is finally found out by the side of AHR, so they're going to go ahead and start to use this to their advantage, but that urgent redeployment is going to be paying dividends in terms of trying to flush out some of the members of AHR, and all of a sudden, look at this. This is a big push.
It was a really good play. We actually saw it at the top side. They actually ran across the railing, then jumped down low, and tried to play the low side of this position. This is the way you capture A. You have to get to the low side. It forces the defense to get extremely aggressive. And talk about aggressive, this is why the urgent redeployment was the perfect call. They had racked up enough score. They know that they're ahead. This is a great play from RCCK maybe to make a play to get his team onto the point and continue to hold down point A. If they don't call an urgent redeployment there, absolutely AHR have control over Sector A, and we're moving on to Sector B with only probably 20 less lives than max.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw how much of a flush they just did onto the side of AHR. There were so many members down below the A point, which is kind of that tunnel that I was talking about, is typically like the main approach to actually attacking this point. And because that urgent redeployment kind of came in, they were able to flush all those members out. Since it was a full flush, none of the revives were able to go ahead and pick up. So again, a big investment in terms of the tickets for the side of AHR. The tank is trying to find some value, but now that the position itself has been found out, the Allurus, the Rockets, they're kind of keeping that tank at bay. And what I love about it actually goes ahead and takes that one out, but not before it finds some incredible value.
Yeah, incredible value. That also didn't get revived. Look at that, down to 13 lives. That was a ton of kills that don't get backed up. It feels like almost AHR is like hitting the give up too fast. I don't know, or maybe they aren't running enough medics. There's just not a lot of lives to go around, and folks, finally, they're getting some action onto the A sector. We've got some bodies on point. It's gonna have to be answered, and it immediately is. I told you they're using their score effectively and reactionary. We see A go down at all. What happens? An artillery barrage, a respawn beacon, and urgent redeployment. HYD says, we are winning right here, right now, and there is nothing you can do about it because we just straight up have more resources than you.
Yeah, and look at this, HYD, there's only 10 tickets remaining, and they're still going on the aggression. They take the tank straight towards the tank destroyer, make sure that one is no longer a part of the battle here. There is still a couple of vehicles available for AHR to try to make something happen. But take a look at the point itself. There's just nothing for the attack brewing at all. They're just trying to send a vehicle a vehicle respawn beacon straight into the middle of the point, but that one's going to be stiffed out. You can see a couple of members, they're going to be making the comms, the Molotov.
Score that HYD can call in right now, it's going to have to straight up put a tank on point, put bodies on the point, and we got to win our gunfights. Look at this tank putting in work down in the zone. They've got to kill these medics. If they kill these medics here, the game is over. Down from 8 to 4, there's still people in the hallways, but these players can't hit the give up button. There are no more bodies to go around. This should be all she wrote in the first game of this matchup. What a hold and a great send, a great reaction. HYD go perfect in game one.
Trying to watch for some of the reactions here, whether or not it kind of feels expected.
You're gonna go and how you're gonna get there, they will match you point for point, pawn for pawn, queen for queen. I will say that was a quicker map than we've ever seen on LAN, at least. That was only the second defensive win of today.
Yeah, it was.
Pretty wild to say as well.
Throwback to LT, their first head-to-head when they went ahead in 2-0. But it was a close one.
Insanely close.
That defensive win and our first defensive win of the day were very different.
Yeah, that's very true. If you were wondering, by the way, Fault was banned by HYD, and Trainwreck was the other map that was banned by AHR. So The reason we found ourselves here. For these matchups, it is a random draw. You'll be able to see that random draw and how it all works at the end of the day. Vivid was talking about it. But no more yap. It's time for gameplay. This is what we want to see. Can HYD do it on attack just like the defensive side? Will AHR turn the tides back in their favor and force us to a very early and quick Game 3? See what happens.
Now on the attacking side of things, HYD, of course, going to be starting out with that vehicle, and they didn't
They're
really
swinging, man. Look at
need
this
a vehicle
squad
in their last approach. And look at this. Remember how we talked about that line that HYD kind of created on the defense? AHR is in a much more passive position. Like, they're behind the sector itself. Like, the team of HYD has seemingly just kind of walked up as there's actually a huge three-piece kind of picked up from the side of AHR. That's going to be credited to Turtle. We're also seeing a Seneva in the mix from the side of AHR. So the early efforts from HYD to go ahead and aggress towards the point early on were actually stopped in terms of the boots on the ground, but the vehicle, it's large and it's in charge of Sector A.
AAV down below. This is the same kind of, I call it the hallway, the tunnel underneath the sector where they're starting to get some value. This is very quick value on the point. Very quickly going to force the defense to have to either jump the point or just allow it to send off and hope to prepare for B sector. Now, again, I know this is pretty self-explanatory, but just because the attackers get through A quickly doesn't really change anything. They'll win the tiebreaker. You got to capture every single sector on this map to count yourself a winner.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how far your opposition got. You've got to capture everything. So already some nice value HYD, but we're just getting started.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the defensive is trying to go ahead and throw some mollies, throw some explosives down this tunnel to try to find some value. Even a flank is actually coming in, but some of the guns, some of the boots on the ground, even the vehicle is going to be picking up some of those members of AHR as they make their way to the bottom of the staircase. If you take a look at the right side of the screen towards the kill feed over there, there were a lot of respawns being activated from the side of AHR, so none of the revives are going to be coming in. I think I saw like 8, maybe 10, maybe 12 total players just picking up that full respawn. And HYD, man,
That was
hold
quick.
up.
That was quick. That was insanely quick. Really well done from HYD to actually utilize that AAV effectively. That was the big question mark, was what can the attackers do with their vehicles? And AHR couldn't get as aggressive with the vehicle that HYD did, or rather they tried, but it got cut down immediately. They did play topside, they did play street rather than going underneath, and maybe that was the biggest mistake. Here we go, let's move into the B sectors. We know that the main event can happen in the B sector. Now, we did move extremely quickly through A. I'm not sure how long it'll take to pull off the main event, but you could see both of these two sectors, these two zones inside of the sector, watch these buildings fall, and then we'll be playing through the rubble, seeing how long it takes us to capture this point.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit more of an aggressive approach from the side of AHR. They are kind of pushed up, at least playing on top of one of the zones. We can see a tank destroyer is not going to be activated from the side of the defense, but it is, of course, going to be met with a tank destroyer of HYD of their own, and of course also that AAV that is available. And again, it's kind of like the same approach. You can see B1 is currently being captured by a squad of members that are actually underneath of the point. So a lot of these tunnel systems on the map of Aftershock are making these zones very, very difficult for the side of the defense to kind of hold. And listen, I don't know if it's just an approach to the defensive side of things. As you can see, one of the players from the side of HYD. Take a look at the tremor system here. But I don't know if it's like an approach thing, but the AHR team has kind of like not really played the tunnels at all, whether it was on the attack when they were attacking A or when they were defending A either. And now the same thing when they were kind of defending B.
Yeah, this is a nice push over into B1. A lot of revives coming through here as well, so they're going to keep all these bodies onto B1. They should fairly easily capture it. See a couple members of the defensive side try to play the outside. Here's a look at that main event, how long we have until it happens. Not that long, about 17% left until things change. Our buildings fall, and we play through the rubble. The attacker's prioing B1 for good reason. Gonna have to play through that rubble, depending on how long it takes. And it looks like AHR gonna try to invest our tank destroyer to get some value around the point. But HYD not pressed to get too aggressive to capture both these points yet. They are taking their time, nice and slow. They know they're in complete control right now.
Yeah, it looked like they were actually able to almost take both of those zones before that event even kind of got activated. But as you can see, towards the zones themselves, it's all red. So they do have control over it, although I will, of course, point out the fact that it looks like they could put a lot more bodies on point, so kind of opting for a little bit of a passive approach. Maybe they're a little bit afraid of this tank destroyer and trying to kind of work around that and wait for that to be destroyed before they kind of go all out. This AAV all the way on the backside for HYD is actually under a full press from the side of AHR.
Yeah, honestly, the fact that they will stay alive. No, I was about to say, there is no way that AAV is making it out of there. And you're right, it felt like maybe they could have early capped that point, but maybe over-invested, and maybe that's exactly what happened. AAV gets cut down. We do see AHR barely alive in this tank destroyer. The only way to keep it alive is to just get this engineer healing it up as much as possible, but Allure rockets continue to ring true for HYD. That is a good. It is much easier to force the attackers to have to capture both of these sectors. If these buildings fall, the B sector becomes much easier, and it looks like we take a quick look at the map view, and you can see where the attackers are currently located. B2, nobody really cares about right now. Both sides are trying to battle their way through B1 and continue to trade back and forth on this trimmer system. They want to make sure these buildings do not fall. A great job of retaking there for the defense. Honestly, doing a pretty good job of just passing it back and forth. This almost feels like operations, man. It feels like the metal bricks getting stolen over and over again. It's just starting and terminating this trimmer system.
Yeah, great job by AHR to somehow keep finding their way towards that little bit of a control panel. I will say, obviously, we did note that 2K was on the bow. Looks like there's actually multiple members now of HYD on the bow. I see Seo-chan picking up a lot of kills in the feed as well with that bow. It'll be interesting to kind of see towards the end of the match how many kills individually they're going to be having.
Nice revives coming through the hallways. I wonder if the attackers just say, all right, we don't care about the trimmer system anymore. Let's just capture both points.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh. All right. Things are happening. You're able to take control over it. Trimmer system, see you later. Buildings, see you later. Down goes building 1. Should see building 2 fall here very shortly. And we're going to move from a 2-zone capture sector into a 1-zone capture sector, as the attackers are going to have a much easier job. They're going to have to move their way into the B2 sector and hopefully find that capture here shortly, as all of our players, honestly, that felt like a mistake to me.
Dude.
Did you just see how many defenders died when that vehicle fell?
All
I mean, that was like their whole team.
Went past the 100 ticket mark.
Yeah, honestly doing a pretty good job here. Honestly, a smart play to be able to pull that urgent redeployment out once your team fully died. It is worth mentioning too, when you do something like an urgent redeployment and you have your team fully respawn all together, you have a full force of like 20 players all moving as a unit, all respawning at the same time, which gave them enough firepower to actually push back their opponents. Now we do see on screen, we did see another magnetic bomb take down a vehicle of the defense, so we did lose a tank destroyer on the defensive side, which is a big blow to their morale even after retaking B2, but still pretty impressed with AHR. Definitely looking like they're getting more and more comfortable as a team on this map the deeper we go into it. If I'm HYD, I want to try to close out this sector and move on to the next as soon as humanly possible before AHR say, wait a minute, we actually can win this matchup.
Yeah, I feel like maybe a little bit of overconfidence for the side of HYD. I constantly kind of see them, instead of waiting for a revive, they're kind of just hitting that respawn on some of their deaths, so keep a kind of close eye on that. That being said, it looks like a full push has kind of come in from the side of HYD. On the back foot of that, they are going to be destroying one of the vehicles that was playing a very, very big role in helping AHR actually defend this zone. HYD, of course, getting more and more access to some of these vehicles and getting more and more access to the point of B2. They have finally staked their claim to it, and it looks like they are going to be capturing it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a team respawn beacon being invested by the defense is just too little too late. That one's going to hurt. You would like to use that respawn beacon for the next sector. Here comes a tank for the defense. This will be nice to kind of recoup their losses. Get some vehicle presence back on the map. Some excitement. Look at our camera there. Got some folks watching HYD maybe from back home or in the back rooms. I'm not sure where. But regardless, we got some supporters for HYD, even if they can't.
They do have enough of said score to go ahead and continue to call in some of those extra vehicles. That being said, I mean, they entered the C sector with, I think it was like 150, 160 tickets, and they're down to 90. And there have been a couple of times where they've made pushes like this towards C2, but it's only been on the back foot of like one squadron, which is like 4 members, and it's been pretty easy for AHR to kind of just take these guys out, and they just lose 4 tickets because of it.
B2 in a bit of trouble. Anytime there's trouble, they've been answering back. AHR in a much better position than they have been in this entire best of 3 thus far. I know it feels like dire straits because they're holding down what is the last zone of the last sector. Like you said, Vivid, they've been holding it down for 70 lives. They still have got control. A nice push here from the attackers, though. This is a full squad roll.
To go ahead and help secure that thing. But no, nothing's kind of caught it. I mean, yeah, they're caught in an artillery barrage right now, but the attack has already been fizzled out. I mean, there's, what, 1 member left remaining from the side of HYD left on the C2 right now. And like you already mentioned, the vehicle side of things, now they have a leg up in terms of AHR, so they have the advantage. I will say HYD, the tickets have dwindled pretty quickly. They're down to 70, but I did see in terms of the loadout and what is available for them in terms of the score streaks, the guided missile down there is available, and I kind of called it out. Maybe they were waiting for that, and that is exactly what's going to happen.
Yep.
Hazmat, as soon as he gains control of that, as soon as the members of HYD are finally respawned in, he calls in the guided missile C2. Even before the guided missile lands, it's getting captured very, very quickly. I think this guided missile just landing and being a threat is going to secure it. He puts it on the backside of C2. It only finds 1 kill, but the space that it creates, it might just be enough. A very late, urgent redeployment and a strategic beacon from the side of AHR. HYD, they waited for one thing. It was the guided missile. As soon as that came into play, they made the full push come in. And I thought it was going to happen a little bit faster than that, but they made it happen 2-0. from the side of HYD.
Great play and some more celebrations back home. HYD staying in the upper bracket. HYD a 2-0 victory, the most dominant win we've seen thus far. AHR put up a great fight in the second game. A much better fight than, of course, the first, but HYD certainly the better team. And a great call from you, Vivid. A perfect guided missile, zoning off that team from being able to even play around the point, and it was just enough time for the entire attacking roster to just hard jump the point, cap it before the defense can react. Nice respect from both teams, but again, a dominant win from HYD.
Trying to keep a close eye on the emotions from the side of HYD. Like I mentioned, you know, they seem pretty cool, calm, and collected after that dominant defense they had. After the 2-0 has been completed, it does look like some smiles are kind of being showcased here. We'll have to take a look at them when they take a bow at the front of the stage, kind of take a look at how they are feeling. And dude, I can't lie, I feel like they are just cool, calm, and collected throughout.
Yeah, expect it or not, that makes you feel good. Really strong win, full team victory. HYD's a threat, folks. HYD is a threat.